Good morning, friends, and welcome back to the online learning platform at Department of Civil Engineering. I'm Rajesh Gopinath, and we are together for the course on occupational health and safety. In the previous session, we had a brief understanding of fire triangle and fire tetrahedron. To stress more, we understood the significance of having known the simplest model of understanding fire, wherein there are three elements when it comes to your fire triangle. That is the fuel, which can be solid, liquid, or in gaseous state. Then you have heat, and then of course you have oxygen. But eventually we also understood that though a fire triangle can help us to understand simple fires and help us to fight those fires, but there are certain fires it cannot suffice. Fires which are caused by metals, or rather burning of metals. Hence, we were led on to another concept, that is the fire tetrahedron, wherein the fourth component was basically the chain reactions. As this is a special type of fire, even the control measures also warranted specialized chemicals. Further, we also understood how heat is transferred via conduction, convection, and radiation. And also we had a brief understanding of the combustion process, wherein there are four phases: pre-ignition, ignition, combustion, and extinction. So the ideology of having understood the basic fundamental aspects of fire triangle or fire tetrahedron is to know how a fire develops, okay, and how we can combat this fire. Let's continue the session. Today we shall understand the various classifications of fire, and then I shall be summarizing and listing the references. Friends, please understand, whatever exercise we are carrying out, whether it is to understand about fire triangle or fire tetrahedron or the different types of fire, all of these eventually have only one objective. The objective is to ensure there are no hazards in any work environment which can threaten life and the infrastructure. And essentially, I'm talking about fire. If you do not have the basic knowledge of what a fire is, what are its components, how does it develop, how does it spread, how can we control it? If we do not have those aspects understood, then there is no point in speaking about fire as a potential hazard. So the major objective is to eliminate any threats, any hazards, any risks, any near misses, any incidents or any accidents which can involve fire as the main component. Okay, now with this brief introduction, let us try to begin today's session by understanding what are the various classifications of fire. Friends, if you observe very carefully, you can see that this is the logo of United States of America and this is the logo of United Kingdom. Okay, both these countries have classified fire more or less in a similar manner, but yet it is different. So the first takeaway for you is that the fire standards, or rather the classification of fire, varies from nation to nation, but more or less it is similar. If you observe here, class A fire and class A fire here, both are similar. The same can be said for class B in both the countries. But if you look at class C in United States and class C in UK, they are different. Okay, so since there is quite a variation which exists across the geographical terrain, what I would rather do is I'll explain to you the one which can cover all the probable types of fire. Friends, basically there are 6 types of fire. Okay, and the nomenclature for them is class A, class B, class C, class D, class E, and class F. Please understand, if you have visited any workplaces, obviously you would have seen certain kind of symbols probably such as you can see on the screen here. Okay, now what you need to understand is symbols are extremely important for us in order to understand what kind of potential fire can break out in a work environment, or rather if you're looking at a fire extinguisher, what kind of fire will it extinguish. Okay, now let's try to understand each of these classifications in a simple manner. Let's begin with class A fire. Now as you can see, class A fire, please understand as a very simple rule of thumb, if any fire, okay, if any fire leaves behind ash, that is, once something has got burnt, okay, if a fire has broken out in some place, and if you find that ash has been left behind, then it is considered as class A fire. Please understand, when it comes to this type of fire, the fuel materials are basically ordinary combustible materials. For example, paper, you can see wood which is burning here, okay, cloth, probably some kind of rubber, and plastic also. So with this understanding that we know what is burning, what is the best way to take care of this fire? Very simple: proper housekeeping practices. Okay, try to keep your areas litter free. Okay, clean the rags, remove the rags. So if you have a clean environment, if you are able to separate these combustible materials, then there is a strong probability that you can set off, you can rather, set off any fire from happening. Please understand that these kind of fires are usually combated by using water. Okay, no doubt we can also go for dry powder, wet chemicals, foam, but it's mostly water which is employed here. And the reason why we employ water is to cool the fire down. Okay, so if in case a class A fire has happened, by spraying water or by applying water, what the water would do is it will cool down the fire below its ignition point, that is the ignition temperature. By doing so, okay, you are eliminating one of the components of your fire, and therefore you're able to ensure the fire is put off. So this is class A fire, which is caused by materials such as paper, wood, plastic, cloth, and so forth. Okay, let's continue with the next type. Now the next type is class B fire. Friends, as you can see on the screen, class B fires are those fires which are caused or which involves liquids, flammable liquids, combustible liquids. Okay, now if you can look at the image on the right hand side, okay, you can see that it's a tanker which actually carries fuel, probably petroleum, diesel, crude oil, as you would put it across. Now what we need to understand is, it is not just your crude oil, it is not just petroleum or diesel or gasoline. Okay, even if you have kerosene, even if you have paint, even if you have paint thinners, okay, even if you have propane, or let us say grease, all of these can eventually cause the fire B. So how can we take care of this? We need to understand that if in case you are trying to employ such kind of materials in any work environment, please make sure that the machinery that you are using this for, okay, it has been cooled down before you refuel them, because you know very well that heat is one critical component which can set off fire. Okay, so any machineries that you're employing needs to be cooled down before you refuel these kind of materials. Please understand. Also, we are not supposed to refuel or pour any of these kind of liquids if there is an open flame. Now, how do I put it across? Let us say you're talking about furnace, okay, or let us say in your your kitchens, barbecue, or let us say cigarettes. Okay, now in the presence of these kind of elements, you're not supposed to pour these flammable combustible liquids, because if you do that, it's a potential hazard which is waiting for you. Okay, now also we need to understand that where we store these kind of fuels, they must be well ventilated, right? Okay, otherwise what would happen is, the fumes can get ignited. So a very good ventilation will allow all these fumes to escape. Please also understand, these kind of materials which are flammable and combustible, you are not supposed to store them near any source of spark. That is very important. Okay, now how do I handle these kind of fires? The best way of handling these kind of fires is by using a foam extinguisher. What basically a foam would do is, it will cut off the oxygen supply. Please remember, we had three critical elements in a triangle: heat, fuel, oxygen. So in this kind of fire, the best way of putting off the fire is by cutting off the oxygen supply. And how does it do it? When you apply foam, okay, it would cover the surface of the fuel with foam. Thereby, oxygen is not able to connect with the fuel, and therefore the fire does not continue. Please understand that apart from using a foam extinguisher, you can also employ dry powder, or probably even carbon dioxide. Okay, now in this kind of fire, we have to also make sure that we cannot use water. All right, now let's continue. Now let's try to understand Class C fire. As you can see on the screen, you are actually looking at gases. Okay, probably yesterday's class you had identified, you did a self exercise to identify what are the potential fuels within your own houses. So I remember you people speaking about the cylinders, LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. Okay, now whether it is butane, whether it is your compressed natural gas, whether it's propane, these gases are also flammable. And hence, what all precautions we spoke about in Class B fire, the same precautions have to be taken care here also. So a quick recap. If Class A fire was due to paper, wood, cloth, Class B fire was due to flammable liquids such as petroleum, diesel, kerosene, and so forth. And Class C fire is because of gases. Okay, now one important reason that I have repeated this information is because if you remember, if you look at the classification of fire which was exhibited by United Kingdom and United States of America, they were different. Class C fire in UK is different from Class C fire from US. Okay, that is why I have again repeated this information for you. Please remember, Class C fire is due to the gases. Okay, now let's move on to Class D fire. Now friends, when you say Class D fire, and the moment you see the word combustible metals, this is where you recollect when we spoke about fire tetrahedron. Okay, so basically these kind of fires is when you speak about fire tetrahedron, and wherein the combustible materials such as magnesium, zirconium, sodium, lithium, titanium, potassium. Okay, in fact, a very simple rule of thumb is if any metal, okay, ends with the letters UM, then we consider that it can lead to Class D fires. Please understand, fire tetrahedron speaks about chain reaction. So what we need to understand is Class D fire can easily spread. Okay, now of course there are certain industries wherein they rarely occur. For example, if you talk about roofing industries, okay, these kind of fires are generally not observed. But since this is a special type of fire, okay, we need to understand that wherever you are employing metals, not just aluminum or magnesium or sodium, let us say you're also talking about certain radioactive metals, let's say uranium, okay, or let's say beryllium or platinum, okay, then it's a potential threat for the work environment and the employers. Therefore, though it's a special kind of fire, though it's a rare kind of fire, we cannot be complacent about this. And that's why we need to make sure that we have additional special measures to combat them. So what we have here is we have special extinguishers wherein we use dry powder. Of course, the different types of fire extinguishers will be dealt in the subsequent class. Okay, but what we need to understand is, and listen very carefully, my dear friends, what we need to understand is, though I am expressing the fact that you need to use dry powder extinguisher, okay, this is not specific to any type of metal. Okay, please understand that. So whenever a Class D fire happens, we do not have separate extinguishers for sodium or potassium or beryllium or platinum. Okay, it is only a generalized extinguishing measure using dry powder. Now, why is this fire very dangerous? As I told you, it spreads fast. And these kind of fires are always associated with very high temperature. And since you're talking about metals, and remember, I told you some radioactive metals as well. Okay, these are highly reactive. Please understand, why only dry powders? Imagine if a fire of this kind breaks out, okay, and you pour water into it. Water will not, extinguish this fire, but rather water will excite it. Or let us say, somebody tries to employ carbon dioxide. Now, if someone sprays carbon dioxide into this kind of fire, it would become more toxic, because, carbon dioxide can actually react and start producing toxins, probably carbon monoxide. Okay, so even carbon dioxide cannot suffice to extinguish this kind of fuel. So what are these special extinguishers? What are these dry powders that we are talking about? We are basically talking about sodium chloride, okay, the granules of sodium chloride. We're talking about graphite powder. Okay, basically, when you apply these kind of specialized chemicals, what they do is these chemicals will absorb the heat. Remember, I told you that this fire is associated with high temperatures. Okay, and remember, your fire triangle, or rather your fire tetrahedron, it has the fuel, it has oxygen, okay, it has chain reaction, and it has heat, that is the temperature component. So the extinguishers that you employ here, what it does is it smothers it. Okay, it by smothering and by absorbing the heat, this kind of fire can be combated. Let's now move on to the next one. Class E fires. Okay, now again, when we speak about country to country, this kind of fire again can vary. Okay, but the easy way for us to remember is E, electrical. Okay, now obvious, when you look at the image on the right hand side, you can understand that these kind of fires are basically involving your electrical equipment, which are extremely energized. Okay, in some countries, my dear friends, the fire which is caused due to electrical equipments are called Class C fires. Okay, please do remember that and kindly do not get confused. Okay, now let's get back. Now, what did I say? Class E fires are those which involve electrical equipment. Okay, now therefore, when you speak about the safety measures, we already had a session on electrical safety and product safety. What we need to understand is when we speak about these kind of fire hazards, the safety measures basically involves media, okay, which are electrically non-conducting extinguishing media. Okay, now please understand these kind of fires are extremely dangerous, and they can involve power tools, electrical equipments of any kind. Okay, your switchboards. Now please understand that in order to combat these kind of fires, the first important thing is good operation and maintenance. Kindly do not use any equipments which has faulty wiring. Please remember, product safety, if you compromise on that, it can lead to compromising electrical safety. So yes, we need to use equipment which has good wirings. Okay, no faulty wirings at all. Never ever overload your equipments. Please understand that, whenever you talk about the plug system, try to use 3-pronged plugs. Please understand, when you speak about a fire extinguisher, you need to understand that we are not supposed to use water. Okay, never ever use water on a fire where there is electricity. As you know very well, water will also conduct electricity. Okay, so the simple aspect is any fire extinguisher that you need to employ to cut off this fire, they should not be good conductors of electricity. Friends, I'm not sure how many of you remember this, but there was a tragedy which happened in Delhi, probably more than a decade ago, in a theater where a movie was being screened, and several people, died, due to the electrical fire which broke out. And of course, unfortunately, even the stampede. And that fire was just because of a short circuit. So just understand how a small wrong wiring or overloading can cause a huge tragedy. Now, what we need to understand is these kind of fires. Okay, if I need to extinguish it, then I need to go for carbon dioxide. Okay, or probably an ABC powder. Now, this I'll explain to you probably in the subsequent class when we speak about different types of fire extinguishers. All right, let's go to the next type, Class F fire. In some countries, Class F fire, will provide you information in the same context as Class K fire. Now, friends, K stands for kitchen. Okay, but as I told you, from nation to nation, this information varies. Now, what do we understand by these kind of fires? Now, whether you're talking about United States, okay, where it is class K, or you're talking about United Kingdom, where it is class F, whatever said and done, these kind of fires are due to, you know, the fuel which you employ in your kitchen areas. For instance, vegetable oil, or you know, your animal cooking oils, or fats, or let us say even your commercial operations, you know, kitchen grease, let's say a restaurant, okay, wherever you use your deep fryers. These are all the potential significant threats. These are the potential significant risk areas, and these kind of fires, you have to be very careful that, you know, you avoid splashing. Typically this fire, you know, the workers or the ladies or the cooks or the chefs or the gentleman, okay, whoever is closer to this fire or this kind of work environment is more prone to the hazard. What are the simple ways of handling this? Very good housekeeping practices. Okay, we should understand that, you know, we're not supposed to pick up any burning pan, okay, which has grease. No, it's possible that, you know, when you try to do that, you may splash the fire sideways and the fire can spread. Please understand, class F fire typically involves cooking oil and grease, okay. And if you want to prevent these kind of fires, a very simple common sense: when you prepare food, when you're cooking food, please don't leave it unattended, okay. And that is when most of the accidents may happen. Also, this comes from experience, but nevertheless, there is a right way of doing every operation, not just in a factory, not just in an industry. Even when you're cooking, okay, even when you're in a kitchen, you need to understand how to place the vessel. What if you knock the vessel by mistake when you move your hand? That can lead to the fire from spreading, okay. Please understand, you know, if you're using a stove, always keep the top clean. In case if you got any spillages, there's a strong possibility that when you're lighting it, you know, that also may catch fire. Yes, not just housekeeping, how you dress yourself. Roll your sleeves up. You know why? Because you remember, cloth is also a potential fuel, okay. And yes, the most important thing, keep all flammable things away from your open flame. Friends, please understand, very critical, and I'm very positive that you will communicate this information to all the stakeholders whom you know are directly involved with a potential threat. Never ever use water if such a fire breaks out, because if that happens, you know, it will cause an explosion. We cannot even use carbon dioxide. We cannot even use foam, okay, because this is a fire which involves very high temperature. So even if you apply foam, the temperature itself will destroy this foam. If a kitchen fire breaks out, then you're supposed to use wet and dry chemical based extinguishers. Of course, sometimes, you know, we do use foam which has additives, okay. Please understand, when you know, employ wet and dry chemical based extinguishers, what happens is they create a blanket of a soapy layer, okay. So when this soapy layer blanket is created, it will cool the fire down, okay. Let's continue further. So what did we understand today? We understood that there are 6 classes of fire or 6 types of fire, and we also understood that from country to country this classification varies. However, in this presentation I have told you in the most simplest and generic fashion: A, B, C, D, E, F. What is also important for us, in each of these classes of fire, what are the symbols that needs to be provided in a work environment? These symbols eventually will also find its place in the fire extinguisher. So you get to know, you know, which type of fire extinguisher you're using, or rather this fire extinguisher is useful for what kind of fire, okay. Also, you are able to understand the features of this kind of fire. Finally, I also gave you a brief input of what are the various ways in which I can prevent the fire from happening, and I can correct in case if the fire has happened. So both the preventive and corrective measures were discussed in this presentation. Nevertheless, remember this: prevention is always better than cure. Okay, so friends, these are the references for your kind perusal. The last reference in specific will give you advanced knowledge in the context of fire safety, in the context of fire prevention and control. Okay, now in my next class, we shall continue further and enhance our knowledge by understanding the different types of fire extinguisher. Please remember, various classes of fire extinguisher doesn't mean that they're specific to only one class of fire. It could be probably the combination as well. So we should understand more about this in the next class. Now, I thank you for your kind presence and your patience. Now the forum is open for any queries that you might have. Thank you.